The wife of an Iowa Republican has been arrested and now charged with committing voter fraud. Over 20 times, in fact. And that may not be a coincidental number. It was in the 2020 election. I don't know if that's a numerology thing, but court documents say that Kim Taylor submitted or caused others to submit dozens of voter registration, absentee ballot request forms, and absentee ballots containing false information. She is alleged to have visited numerous households within the Vietnamese community in Woodbury County, where she collected absentee ballots for people who were not present at the time. She then filled those out, cast the ballots herself. The indictment alleges, quote, causing the casting of votes in the names of residents who had no knowledge of and had not consented to the casting of their ballots. Taylor is also accused of signing voter registration forms on behalf of residents who were not present. I don't know if that's like a long-term thing where you plan to then return and get their ballots when they come. Just registering doesn't necessarily help you out in the election. But anyway, in all, she was charged with 26 counts of providing false information in registering and voting, 3 counts of fraudulent registration, and 23 counts of fraudulent voting. Each charge carries a maximum 5-year prison sentence, which I'm just gonna get out in front of this. Voter fraud is a serious thing, and I think that it should be taken seriously while also acknowledging that it is very, very rare and has basically never ever influenced an election ever. If she gets like 120 years in prison for what she did, that is utter madness and it cannot be allowed. If Alan Weisselberg is spending 5 months in prison for a decade and a half of tax fraud, she cannot go to prison for that long. But that said, her motive seems clear. She was trying to help her husband, Republican politician Jeremy Taylor, in his race at that point. But again, it's a couple of dozen votes. It doesn't seem like the sort of thing that could necessarily matter. But anyway, what do you both think about this? Starting with you, Francesca.
I mean, look, she did it for love. And I just feel like that's a good woman. You know what I mean? You keep her and you hold on tight. If your partner is willing to commit voter fraud for you, I mean, soulmates, truly, especially if you're a Republican, soulmates. Oh my God. No, this is so egregious. I'm glad she got caught. It's random that it was in Iowa. I'm wondering if it was a primary or not, because I'm like, it certainly wasn't up against a Democrat. And it seems, it's interesting because of who she targeted, that she seems to have targeted the Vietnamese community, and she herself is Vietnamese. And so that's sort of, I think, a little insidious to be like, oh yeah, as a member of this community, you don't have a voice or a ballot, or you're not gonna vote. I'm gonna just vote for you. And I think that's an interesting little tinge of this that I'm sure we're gonna hear about on Fox News tonight. Tucker will dedicate a very long segment to it, and not about, your regularly scheduled why the Charmin Bears are woke now.
To Francesca's point, if you got to cheat in Iowa to get a Republican elected, this is not a good candidate. If it were California or somewhere else, like New York, okay, the lady's like, I got to cheat, I got to get you in. But to go in Iowa and cheat to get I think in Iowa, you just got to say I'm Republican and you just get you win. I mean, there's no, I think that's how easy it is. I mean, you just go, I'm Republican. LGBTQ community is bad, and Lord hallelujah, whatever, and then you get elected. I think that's how you do it. You don't send your wife out to get the ballots from her community. And as you said, by the way, John, 20 ballots. I mean, it's like, if you're gonna do it, you got to do it big. Come on, 20 is like. I wonder if she started out going like, I'm gonna get 1,000, 2,000, and like 20 in, she's like, this is exhausting. I'm just gonna call it a day.
That volunteer work is difficult. I appreciate it. But seriously, to Kim Taylor, if you want Dinesh D'Souza to make a documentary about you, it's not gonna happen with 20 ballots. You gotta mule way more than that. But anyway, it was in the GOP primary. He ended up coming in 3rd place, getting about 6,400 votes. So 3rd place, 6,400, the 20 didn't seem to have helped very much. But the point that I wanna make about this is, and it's to some extent maybe is disagreeing a little bit with you, Francesca. I do agree with you that I don't think Tucker Carlson's gonna talk about it, but I do think that he could. I think that he could, and actually, I'm gonna explain why. In explaining why I don't generally love talking about topics like this. I know if you're a right winger, you're thinking, you're lying, you love it because it makes Republicans look bad. No, I don't, for two different reasons. One is substantive, it didn't matter. You're not swaying elections by stuff like this, so is it newsworthy? We can have a debate about that. Also, she was caught, by the way, so if your belief is that insidious voter fraud is swaying elections, they catch even petty little ones like this. You think they're not catching someone who's doing 10,000 votes? So that's number two. But number three is this. So there's been a million stories like this where it was the Republicans who were actually doing voter fraud. And you might think, well, that makes the Republicans look bad. Maybe, but you know what narrative it also advances? That there's voter fraud. Like Tucker Carlson could do this. He's not going to, but he could do this and say, look at what I've been saying. If you mail people ballots or you mail them registration, someone can wander up and take it. I mean, ignore the fact that they got caught. It had no effect. It was only 20 ballots. Ignore how it is impossible to sway an election like that. He could use this to advance his narrative. I don't think they've yet been savvy enough to do that, but it's not impossible. What do you think?
I think that's a really good point, that it's mostly a distraction from broader narratives that are actually happening, which are voter suppression, right? The fact that people have to wait in incredibly long lines to even exercise their right to vote, right? The fact that Ron DeSantis can single-handedly revoke that state's allowing of former felons to finally vote, right? And he's just like, no, we're not gonna ballot initiative. Oh, democracy? No, see, we don't believe in this state because we're anti-woke. i.e. anti-democracy. So I agree, these stories are meant to grab headlines. It is not, it's definitely not indicative of a broader pattern, but it is funny that it's always the Republicans who fall into that pattern. Yeah. And also, who have like multiple residences, rich people, how they have multiple residences and they all vote in Florida, funny. Last thing I'll say though, Kim Taylor's definitely gonna be on Trump 2024 campaign team like that. Like I would hire her. Like all I need is 11,780 votes. You guys, that's a quote from the former president.
I know.
Also, Tucker Carlson could talk about her and allude to the fact that she's originally from Vietnam, thus probably was a communist, thus Antifa. It was the Democrats who did the voter fraud.
He got us. At last he got us.
Thanks for watching The Young Turks, really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.